couple other things I wanted to share with you. Steve Bannon spoke at CPAC yesterday. And the thing that has gone viral on Twitter is Bannon putting his hand on Reince Priebus's leg and then Reince pushing the hand off his leg, and how these guys kept touching each other through this thing, which was a little unusual. But in particular, when Reince, swatted away the hand, that was like, really, what's that about? But I think the important stuff has nothing to do with whether these guys are playing touchy-feely with each other. It has to do with the deconstruction of the administrative state. The administrative powers of the executive branch were put into the Constitution by the founders for a reason. If Congress passes laws, you have to have a branch of government, that is the executive branch, that administers those laws, that actually makes them happen. Now, I realize this does not make the Koch brothers happy. They've got refineries, they've got paper plants, they've got all these big companies that throw lots and lots of pollution into the air and water, and they don't like the government administering things like the EPA's clean air and clean water policies. I get that. I mean, it's not hard to figure out. And now you've got, without the Koch network, we would not have Republicans in control of all these House seats, all these House, Senate, and lower House, House seats. And we wouldn't have Republican control of the House and the Senate at the national level, frankly. I really believe that you've got, Freedom Works and Americans for Prosperity and all these front groups that are funded by the Koch brothers and their buddies. And they are larger and more wealthy than the Republican Party. They've made much of this happen. A story that you will not hear on network television since Koch Industries started brilliantly advertising on television. And all of a sudden, all discussion of the Koch brothers just went away. Well, we need a few $1 million. So anyhow, Bannon goes to CPAC and he says, we're going to work toward the deconstruction of the administrative state. George Washington has to be rolling over in his grave. That was one of his three verticals, his three pillars, his three-legged stool, right? Number one, national security and sovereignty. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Erdogan in Turkey, it's just, pick your dictator, right? Yeah, national security. For that matter, Richard Nixon. Number two, economic nationalism. Now, that's an area where they're probably not going to get an enormous amount of pushback from either Democrats or Republicans, because it's been Republicans who, since Reagan, and then, really stepped up with George Herbert Walker Bush, who coined the phrase New World Order. It's been Republicans who have been promoting this idea of basically a borderless state with regard to economics. Let American workers compete with people making 30 cents an hour in China or Vietnam. Let them compete against people making $4 a day in Mexico. And people are pushing back on this. And it's the one area where the Trump administration, at least in their rhetoric, probably has the support of a majority of both Democrats and Republicans. And that's just because this whole neoliberal experiment that's been going on for 20-some-odd years in both parties has failed. It's failing in Europe. It's failing here. I'll give Steve Bannon that. But the fact of the matter is, I don't see them doing anything about it. They're just talking. And then finally, the deconstruction of the administrative state. And he says, if you look at, this is a verbatim quote from Steve Bannon. He says, if you look at these cabinet nominees, they were selected for a reason, and that is deconstruction. Betsy DeVos hates public schools. Put her in charge of public schools. Scott Pruitt sues the EPA 14 times. He's being paid off by Devon Energy and the Kochs and everybody else. Put him in charge of the EPA. Right. We're seeing through you, Mr. Trump.